Hi, my name's Dee and welcome to Untitled Tarot and welcome to your full moon Halloween Gods at Play reading. Now, if there is a sign in the title below, then it's one of my standard format videos, but the actual reading itself will be taken from a live stream I am doing 6 PM GMT to celebrate Halloween and to celebrate the channel's first birthday. If you're seeing this beforehand, then it's going to have a general reading at the end. But as ever, I'm going to look into the full moon and have a discussion of what I see on the full moon. However, I can't do it as good as all the professional astrologers. So there is a link in the description down below for a Facebook page for this channel, where obviously I post these videos and where you'll find my live stream and what have you. When I finally do it, wish me luck. Mars and Mercury retrograde, so let's see if it works. But I also post all of the astrology forecast, weather report type videos that I'm learning from as well. And obviously it's right at the start of the month, or it's right at the start of next month. So there's a lot on there at the moment. I will recommend Ksenia Moore's full moon video, Wonder Girl Astrology's full moon video, and oh, there was a third one I wanted to point out as well. What was it? No, it's gone. I'll remember it at some point. But yes, I'm not going to be looking at the standard astrology because I don't know enough about it yet. I am still learning. I have the pleasure of learning from Rick Levine, who is great. So we'll see how it all goes. So, as I say, Facebook link down below. The good thing about that page as well, it has an inbox. So if you're wanting to contact me directly for a personal reading, then that's the way to do it. And as ever, as I say, if there is a sign in the title down below, there's also a timestamp in the description so that you can get past all of my waffle if you've seen it once already. And get straight to the reading, because really you should watch 3 of them. Watch your moon, obviously it's a full moon reading. Watch your sun, because that's what we're all trained to do now, and that's the I am. But importantly, watch your rising sign. And if you don't know what your rising sign is, there is a link in the description down below where you can get yourself a free birth chart. There's no end of sites on the internet to get hold of that. And so what I'm going to do is I've put a lot of work into this video, so you're going to have to excuse the odd little bit of editing here and there, because there's a lot that I want to say and I want to make sure that I say it right. Now, as you're probably well aware, a full moon is sun opposition moon, and we have the moon at 8 degrees 38 minutes of Taurus, and therefore the sun at 8 degrees 38 minutes of Scorpio. Now, the moon is conjunct Uranus by a small distance of 3 minutes. You know, they are literally that far apart, their centres. So Taurus is a sign about stability. Uranus, not so much. Lightning, change, shock, transformation, great revelation. So we have the moon settling nicely into the stability of Taurus, with Uranus there trying to shake everything up. Now, that could be very interesting when we look at the time that we're in, especially if you are in America right now. So just because October is very nearly over, do not think that we will escape having some form of October surprise or another. Let's face it, pretty much every day of October has been an October surprise of some form or another. Now, the Scorpio-Taurus axis is one all about growth and change. Let me bring my notes up so that I know what I'm talking about. As the polarity, the Taurus mission is to root in and establish an earthly form, whereas Scorpio has that more transformative element to it. It has an urge to merge, to share resources, with the idea that the creative union will bear even more fruit. So if Taurus is about the shape of things, then Scorpio shifts that shape, and to do that uses its own resources and sometimes others too. Now, with Uranus in the mix there, the shape-shifting may end up being to an entirely new form, or something that initially might appear quite uncomfortable, because shock is exactly that, shock. It is never pleasant, even if it has a good result. You think if you open a door and there's someone that you haven't seen for years and years, and you're really pleased about seeing them, but you didn't expect anybody to be behind that door, you still have that moment of, oh, heck, there's somebody there, until it's like, oh, it's my old mate, and give them a big hug, or a socially distanced elbow bump, or what have you. But you've still had that moment of, so we're looking, really, I don't think we can make plans yet until after the effects of this new moon, or particularly the Moon-Uranus conjunction, has happened. Definitely, with this being the moon, this could be a sudden change in feelings. It could be a sudden change in the home. It could be a sudden change in the emotional environment. And it's Uranus. It could be a sudden change in anything. But it will be something that's fast, and it will cause a shift in whatever it is that you are trying to build. So let's just have a look at the symbols for 8 degrees Taurus, because every degree has its own symbols. We have the Chandra symbols, which I think is the same name for the inside degrees that you will hear astronomers talk about. Obviously, there's the Sabian symbols as well. Now, the Taurus, 8 degrees Taurus, the inside degree is a talkative woman with tape over her mouth. And what this describes is the creative force at odds with itself. What you would do, what you wouldn't do, facing the truth that everything personally generated fails to satisfy. Spirit is 8-4 in its absence. Something is missing. Massive pride comes screeching to a halt. It's a very high vibration, which again, if you think about Uranus, Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury, if I remember rightly. So communication that's coming in. And let's not forget that we've got Mercury retrograde and Mars retrograde all going on in this. And if I remember correctly, isn't Mercury retrograde in Scorpio? Let me just have a look at my full moon chart, which all of a sudden I seem to have misplaced. Why would it not be there? Of course not. Anyway, there we go. I found it. So let's have a look. No, it's regressed back into Libra by this point, but it's gone into Scorpio and then come back again. So there is a sort of an element of that transformation power going on. Now I've lost my symbols. Where have I put them? No, that's Scorpio. A very high vibration, inward places calling you, but the abyss features radical self-overcoming. And there is nothing to say, everything to do, with nobody left to do it, except the forgotten one inside who knows the way. Now that is beautiful, and it really calls into that idea of the shape-shifting that the Scorpio-Taurus axis brings in, because of that very phrase, their radical self-overcoming. So this is hopefully a wonderful opportunity for us to move past one of our own blocks or one of our own goalposts. Do not forget that this is the night, right around the world, this is the night where the veil between this world and the next is supposed to be the thinnest. It is also the Celtic New Year. So anything that we set into motion tonight is something that or, you know, under the light of the full moon, which is really a 3-day period, but you can consider the full moon energies to be lasting towards the new moon, where the new moon wipes the slate clean and we start again. But there is support to be had, there is doorways to peer through, there are doorways to look through, and there's information to be received. And again, Uranus, being the higher vibration of Mercury, indicates that element of transformative information. Now, talking about it being the Celtic new moon and any changes that we now could be lasting over for the upcoming year. Sorry, the Celtic New Year, not new moon. Celtic New Year. This degree is ruled over by a degree angel called Rahael. Now, the sun is ruled over. Is ruled by an angel called Sitael, which I will get to later. But what they promise is longevity. This is what the Rahael within 8 degrees Taurus and various other degrees scattered around the zodiac promises health and longevity. So something that we can put into practice now, or something that we can build on the basis of, oh my God, where did that come from, is something that is going to last quite some time. In fact, let me dive into Sitael, who is ruling the sun at 8 degrees Scorpio, and Sitael is ruling both the sun and Jupiter at 20 degrees Capricorn. Now, Jupiter is only just 20 degrees. It's 20 degrees 59 minutes. So one could argue that it's 21 degrees, but I have no doubt that angels work in order and therefore they're going to be a stickler for mathematics. So we are within that 20 degrees Capricorn range, which means that anything that we are bringing into being, gaining that longevity with Rahel, is something that is going to grow. And what Sitael brings is a way to overcome adversity. Let me just have a look at my notes about him. There's yes, he is a seraph invoked to overcome adversity, rules the nobility, and one of the 72 angels of the zodiac, one of the Shem Hamethrash. But with him, with his ability to overcome adversity, both being focused through the sun, the I am, and through Jupiter, the expansive planet, the planet that makes things bigger. Even if Jupiter is still in Capricorn, it's making things bigger according to the rules, but there is a wonderful spirit shining through that sun that I wouldn't be surprised, especially with Uranus in the mix, is, yeah, we will expand with what we are creating to overcome adversity within the rules. And we might make some of those rules up as we are going along. Now, the decans that these are in are also ruled by the goetic spirits. Now, let me move my pad out the way and you can see the cards. So, change camera. And we have, for the moon and for the 8 degrees Taurus, we have Epos for the daytime and Amy for the nighttime. For the sun, we have Gamagin and Raum, and let me just bring the cards for Rahel and Sitael in. So here we have Rahel representing love and submission, which is part of his astrological designations, but Sitael, the creation of all things, which I have to say is a very, very beautiful, beautiful image of what we can create. And we are in a time, especially in America, where creation is called for, where in America you have your vote. Use your vote. Definitely vote. People died so that you could use that vote. Whatever your political leanings are, voting is better than not voting. It means that you are actually exercising your say. And like any election, yeah, it probably is the lesser of two evils. I certainly think that there is a greater and a lesser evil, as I imagine anybody with any opinions about anything to do with American politics thinks one way or another. And a lot of elections, you have to hold your nose. But it's better than just leaving it up to everybody else, I think, is one way to look at it. But there is so much promise of change after we have whatever shock revelation that it is. Now, with the decans and the Goetic spirits, now the Goetia is the 78, 78, no, that's tarot card, 72 demons that Solomon summoned and bound to build his temple. They each controlled decans, and one controls a decan in the daytime and one controls the decan in the nighttime. So with the moon and Epos and the sun and Gamagin, or Samagina, as he is known. Now, this to me indicates a time of revelation. Strangely enough, revelation, especially concerning those who have passed on in sin, which is that Epos, or is that, yes, that's Gamagin or Samagina. He teaches the liberal sciences and delivers news about people who have died in sin. He can summon the souls of drowned men and those who are in purgatory. Whereas Epos imparts confidence, eloquence, presence, independence, inspiration, humour, grace and bravery. He can also cause destruction. He can reconcile friendships, reveal secrets. So again, we've got that image of revelation of some secrets, and influence decisions. And you can say that in a political campaigning period, there's a lot of people trying to influence decisions. He rules over self-development and divination. And what was it that Chandra symbol was saying with Taurus? That radical self-overcoming. So for the daytime energies, if the full moon's in the daytime, any form of transformation that you are embarking upon has that little bit of whammy, that little bit of extra support that you might not have accepted beforehand. Now let's have a look at what's going on at night time. Now this is Raum, and Raum with the sun, 8 degrees Scorpio, and Amy with 8 degrees Taurus. Now, Amy is a warrior. Raum steals and relocates treasures, often from kings. I'll leave that one there. Now, what I can draw from that sort of reaction, so this is where the full moon is happening at night time. It can be people fighting to keep or regain what they have, had, or more to the point, those that are in power losing resources while the general populace is empowered to fight and to stand up. And this standing up point is another part of this full moon, which I will explain, because I drew a chart for the end of the Mayan calendar for the point that the sun goes into 0 degrees Capricorn back in 2012. So that was the 21st of December. I think it was also one of the doomsdays, wasn't it? Oh my God, the Mayan calendar is coming to an end. That's it. The world's cancelled. Yeah. How do you think about that now? Now we know what a cancelled world looks like. Now, the sun in this full moon, 8 degrees Scorpio, is conjunct the Saturn out of that chart. Now, let me just find, because I've put some notes down here. Of course, I'm not finding it very... here we go. So, yes, it is conjunct to the Sun by 1 minute. 1 minute. I mean, they are practically on top of one another. Now, the when the Sun conjuncts Saturn, let's have a look what I've got written here. It's a time to stand up. It can be a time of great satisfaction with achievements, recognition and promotion, and it can also be the other side, a time of privation, insecurity and hardship. Now, I imagine there's going to be an element of either or going on. Again, if you look at the political scene, but it's not just all about America. This is this personal transformation energy is worldwide. And there are certainly a lot of political forces acting worldwide at this same time that will all benefit or be debilitated by this very transit. Now, if you think about what the end of the Mayan calendar was, the Mayan calendar, the Bactun, is a huge cycle, and astrology is all about cycles. And the fact that we are being called to remember through the I Am, through the Sun, to the chart of the end of the Mayan calendar, to the planet of time, of, yes, restrictions, but more to the point, lessons. I mean, one thing that you do have to remember is, okay, Kronos ate his children. Yeah, we know. But he also ruled over a golden age on the earth before those children all managed to escape, thanks to Zeus being hidden in a cave. So it is that ancient golden age. It is a promise of that golden age, which again, the end of the Mayan calendar did used to talk about. Now we're going to start elevating. So if you want to talk about all the here comes the age of Aquarius business, you can do. I'm still not entirely sold that we are anywhere near Aquarius, but if you think about it, that's not a change that's going to change like that. That's a change that's going to have the world change over the course of, at the very least, several decades, if not a few hundred years. But I think it is absolutely beautiful that this one full moon, on the night where the veil is thinnest, is calling us back to the energies of the great cycle of the Mayan calendar, with the message, it is time to stand up and be counted. Sun conjunct Saturn transit means you must stand up and be counted. Hard work, discipline and patience are needed to attend to your duties and obligations, and you may have to take on extra responsibility or act as a mentor and guide. Now, if we are here to change the planet, let's get on with it. There's your extra work and responsibility. If we are here to help other people realise their role in changing the planet, being that mentor and guide, get on with it. Also, be aware that this is an energy affecting everybody, so you may suddenly find the arrival or the influence of a mentor or guide is really appropriate for you right now. But as we hear so many times, and America has definitely heard this so many times over the past few weeks, we are at a precipice. We are at a precipice with the virus. We are at a precipice politically. There are war tensions across the planet. There are political unrest across the planet. And there are people trying to enforce lockdowns. Some for, well, Hopefully all of them for the good reason of trying to get rid of the virus. But lots of people are questioning that one way or another. So, you know, there's so many different ways that you can look at things. I personally think there is a killer virus on the loose. Let's minimize contact for the time being, because with a sky like this, there is plenty of work we can be getting on with, and there is plenty of personal transformation that we can be getting on with. Now, what is also interesting is that this 8 degrees Taurus, let me find my note here, is that of, no, it's the sun. So again, it's that time to stand up and be counted. Is Edgar Allan Poe's North Node. So if you want to think about someone who has, with the effect of their life, have done something with longevity that has stood the test of time. We all know Poe's stories to this day. We all know what Poe represents. There's a rather interesting point about how he was supposed to have died. Let me just bring those details up. Give me a second. No, that's not there. So basically, he had died of what looks like alcoholism, or at least, and he was a known drinker, but at least on the night where he was found, he was utterly, not sure what word I can use on YouTube and not get struck for it. So he was drunk. He was very, very drunk. But there's a really interesting one theory from 1872. I got this from Wikipedia. You know, I do all the best research. Suggests that cooping was the cause of Poe's death. Now, what this is a form of electoral fraud in which citizens were forced to vote for a particular candidate, sometimes leading to violence and even murder. So they would get somebody drunk and then take them from polling station to polling station to polling station, getting them to vote for the specific candidate of their choice. That's something I think that we need to watch out for, because remember, it is time to stand up and be counted. It is time to transform. It is time to overcome your own barriers and really, really transform. And I think that's everything that I want to talk about in this video about the full moon. I have another aspect of the full moon that I'm going to discuss in a separate video, because I'll give you a quick précis of it. I'm a comics geek. You can tell somewhat, can't you? So I very much see superheroes and the comic superheroes as a modern mythology. They are playing out those archetypal stories again and again and again. So as I started learning astrology, I was like, well, this is so heavily mythology based. Oh, I will have a look at various points in comics history. You know, I've drawn up charts for when certain characters are introduced to the public. So it's publication day, New York, 6 a.m. always, depending where the company is based, but pretty much New York, 6 a.m. Of the shipping day of that comic, and that is the birth of a character. I can discuss that another time. But I also have done charts for the publication just of certain comics. This full moon is conjunct the Mars of DC's 2005 crossover Infinite Crisis. Now, if you follow comics, you know what I'm talking about. If you're interested on where I'm going to go with this, keep your eye out for my Infinite Crisis full moon video, which I'm going to film after this one. But in the meantime, back to the more serious stuff. Let me shuffle cards and start the general reading. Okay, Aquarius, and my apologies that this reading is late, but because this Halloween full moon is so important, I thought I'd best complete these readings They were supposed to happen on the live stream on Saturday night, but that fell to technical issues in the end when my phone gave out. But never mind. So this full moon happened in your fourth house. So that's your home and the roots of your being, what's important to you. And this reading may refer to fourth house issues, or it may not. Now, the interesting thing with these readings are this was the start of the Celtic New Year. So this reading could last for 2 weeks, you know, until the new moon. It could last for 4 weeks until the next full moon, or it could be setting the tone for the entire year. Now, as you probably know from these Gods at Play readings, the top row represents the masks of the archons as they try to keep us vibrating in fear and misery and just general negativity, whereas the bottom row represents the gods that are trying to lift us up and consciously reconnect us, or rather to reconnect us consciously to the divine or to the divine aspects. But I want to draw your attention to 2 things initially. Medusa, here from both decks, on your side, I might add. And Morgan Le Fay here keeps appearing in this position for pretty much everybody. There is a lot of lies and deception and illusion going on this month, or this year, or this fortnight, you know, however long it lasts for you. But there are agendas at play and illusions at play. With an illusion, I would assume there would be a secret, because I feel that an illusion, we're not talking about optical illusions, we're talking about enchantments. We're talking about you being potentially ensorcelled by some idea, some concept, something that you believe to be a truth, and it's not necessarily that. But that's not something you have to fall for. As I say, this is a reading that looks at the opposing energies of Sun opposed Moon. So the archons, or rather the masks that the archons are wearing to try and keep you vibrating on the lower level. We have Odin with guidance, Hades with the underworld, Morgan Le Fay, as I've just said, and you can just hear my post arriving there. We have the Mirai with the future and the idea of fate. And we have Pandora with curiosity. Now that was the other one I wanted to point out. Pandora appears twice here. One as the genuine goddess Pandora, and one as somebody appearing, you know, an archon taking the mask of Pandora. It's that's an interesting dichotomy, that particular one, which I'm hoping will come clear to me, because right now it's like, but I rather feel like you're being encouraged here to be curious about something that's not real, to be curious about something that opens, that is a step that like opens a gateway to the underworld. Like if you get absorbed into one conspiracy theory or another, and as you read about it more and go into the internet, trying to find more out about it, obviously it's the internet, you end up in an echo chamber. Even if you're looking to find out a recipe for fairy cakes, you end up in an echo chamber. And so it's always going to be self-confirming bias there. But it does feel like that you are being pulled into some form of rabbit hole that has layer upon layer upon layer. And this is with somebody else advising you. This is with somebody else pushing you in this direction. Now, I'm not necessarily even saying that they're consciously doing this. It could be that you are reacting against something, and therefore you try to look into the opposition of that thing, and that's when you end up being pulled down a rabbit hole. Or somebody is actively advising you, well, what about this, what about that, what about the other? However, these two rows also feel slightly unconnected. They feel like they are two different stories going on, because the gods here are, apart from that Pandora polarity here, the gods here are pretty much telling their own story. They are telling a story of obstacles that are being put in front of you that are actually a gift. Ganesha is a god of luck. He is the one who is saying, if there is a mountain in front of you, you can go, oh poo, there's a mountain in front of me. You can decide to go over it, which involves the high climb up and the high climb down, and general perilous situations in the meantime. You can try and go through it, unless you have some form of mighty mole driller machine, may not be so easy. Or you could just go around it and it takes you to somewhere nice. And that's what Ganesha does. He is a god of luck. He takes you to nice places. And so if he puts an obstacle in your way, he's not going, no, you can't do that. He's going, no, go that way. It's nice that way. Go round. Now, it is pointed out that you have to keep some form of hope. Yes, so the gods on your side here: Ganesha, Pandora, Freya with irresistibility, and Medusa representing the feminine, the receptive principle. So allow things to come to you. So that's where the curiosity is working against you. It's not a matter of going searching. It is because you can be so busy with that search that you don't notice something that just appears in front of you that makes you go, oh, hadn't thought of that. I'll go that way. So Medusa with the feminine and with appearance. So I feel like your public face may well be changing in the view of all those around you. So it's certainly taking that fourth house level, it's changing in the views of the people around you, and your family, your tribe, your friends, your people. Because also from the Oracle of Heaven and Hell, as you may have noticed in the shuffle video, 3 cards came out, and there's a fairly strong message from these 3 cards. We start with Ial with transformation. Then we move into Iabamir with alchemy and transformation. And then finally Rochelle with restitution. Something is being set right. Now this is another theme of these full moon readings. This whole Rochelle keeps coming out again and again. And there's been a lot of justice card coming out as well, of setting things right. Right, let's see what else we have. Okay. And there's another card that keeps coming out as well. 5 of Swords. But again, in this deck, as I said on one of the other readings, this 5 of Swords reminds me, an Ace of Cups on the bottom of the deck. That's nice. This 5 of Swords doesn't remind me of battle as such. It's more the night before a battle, where you are having one last fling with your teammates or your whoever, where you're noticing what's important, which is the camaraderie, which is the closeness, which is the fun. Because I believe that there is fun here to come in, as long as you don't disappear down the rabbit hole. So I don't think you also need to worry about being late, using that rabbit hole image with Pandora here. Just hope or hope to me always sounds a bit double-edged. Remain in a state open, Medusa with the feminine, open to receiving things sorting themselves out, coming out well, coming out nicely, because things are going to get set right here. There is just this warning of the rabbit hole. So again, rabbit hole, going underground, going to the underworld. And this is something where if you was to follow that rabbit hole, you get surrounded pretty much by secrets and lies. But your sense of what is okay and what is not okay is getting distorted by Morgan Le Fay's magic here. Whereas there's certain things that, what's that phrase? We hold these truths to be eternal. I think it's eternal. And that's what Freya with irresistibility is saying, that, yeah, of course there's some form of battle coming up, but that's okay. You're going to have everything that you need as long as you remain in that receptive state and not trying to dig your way through some rabbit hole. Now, I'm not saying that as information comes to you, you should go, la, 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 not listening. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't research things, but just be aware of the quality of material you are using for that research, because there is danger rabbit hole ahead, is definitely saying here. But with Pandora to Freya, it's almost like what you are hoping to be will come into being, and you will be receiving blessings. We have the Sun card, clarifying Medusa as the feminine here. So I don't want to say stand back and do nothing, but I do want to say remain in a receptive state to see what comes to you, but you don't need to go actively trying to work out whatever this thing that you're opposing is all about, because you may find that it's actually a load of balderdash. And especially with this guidance card, somebody is giving you false advice. They might not know that they're doing it, but they are doing it for ego-driven reasons. They are doing it because they want to feel like they are leveling up in the world, not because they are doing you a favour. Now, they may be just as prey to all these secrets and lies as you risk being, but it doesn't escape the fact that their actions are ego-driven in a bad way. Because, as Rick Levine Astrologer says, the ego is a useful thing. It helps us survive while we're incarnate down here. It is a survival tool. But look at this Prince of Pentacles, which is often a level up card for me. But again, it's on the Archontic row. So it's not a positive influence. It's not you leveling up. It's someone trying to level up at your expense. And always so full of himself, as seen by the peacock there. But we have the fact that the obstacles that are put in front of you, and so that you're having to go around them, is actually something that will bring you into your own power. And by going around them, good luck is going to befall you. Because look, this Emperor is holding the Wheel of Fortune in his hand. And he's also, you could say that he has the helm to his own ship ready there. Okay, he's waiting for a ship to fix it to. But there is that sense of these obstacles are happening for you. Keep your eye on the prize, keep your eye on whatever the goal is, and using your intuition, you will find that the gifts that you require will come to you, and you can plan and steer how you are appearing to people and how you are going to carry out your future. Because yes, it might look that your future is changing, and it is. We have the Judgment card here, but it doesn't have to change in the negative way that you are being told it has to. Now, bear in mind with these Gods at Play readings, with the God cards, it's dramatic. You know, of course it's dramatic, it's gods. You know, so this might be something that is happening on a small scale within your life, you know, just in the workplace or just in the home or just in some small aspect of your life. Or it could be a far larger, defining the whole next year for you. You know, there's... But the truth of the matter is that, yes, your future is transforming. Transformation, alchemy and transformation. But things are being set right with that. So it's for you to be in more of a receptive state for a while. But not too much of a digging to find all the facts out. Because the facts that you find out aren't facts at all. They are lies and secrets with an agenda from someone's dark imagination trying to draw you into some form of rabbit hole, when you can go, no, okay, I'm not going to go that way around. I've got this obstacle. I'm just going to concentrate on going around it. And, oh, look, nice things. So, yeah, be careful about the advice that you're receiving and well, I'm going to say propaganda, but it's a person can give a propaganda as well as a government or a political party or political position or what have you. So don't fall for somebody else's press. I think sums everything up. Right. So if this means anything to you, Aquarius, and I actually think that this is a really positive reading, because all this stuff at the top, all you've got to do to combat it is go, la, 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 not listening, I'm going to go this way. And that's it. Lovely and simple. And be receptive for the blessings that are going to come into you. But definitely be receptive. Look for those synchronicity points. Look for those, oh, that feels lucky, looks lucky, feels right. Those sort of things. Allow your gut to guide you as much as your, if not more than your brain, because your brain can easily be distracted and ensorcelled here. So if this means anything to you, like I'm sure I just said a second ago, like, share, subscribe, comment down below as well. It's always good to receive feedback. And I will see you for the monthlies, and also keep your eye open for a special that I was working on yesterday, which is why this reading's late. Looking at everything that's been going on in Capricorn astrologically this last year and what we can expect from its last gasp. Last gasp is probably the wrong way to phrase it, but you know, the last few months of it before we see Saturn and Jupiter moving into your sign, which will bring a whole new host of different issues, but will basically feel better, feel lighter. All right, cheers.